What's up? So with the release of the new toy soldier skins in Fortnite, there has been a lot of talk of these skins being pay to win, overpowered, and giving an unfair advantage for what Epic always says is simply a cosmetic item. But this is certainly not the first time we've had a skin in Fortnite that is at least a little bit pay to win. So I thought what might be fun to do is go through sort of the history of Fortnite and just look at some of the other skins that are equally and as ridiculously a little bit pay to win. Now really quickly, before we do get into it, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that I don't light you on fire. And let's get into it. Now, since the new toy soldier was kind of the inspiration for this video, I thought we would talk about this one first and get them out of the way. I mean, who would have thought that a purely green skin on a green map might cause some advantage? And it's crazy because there are actually a lot of players that I can see starting to run this. Now, running the skin and paying $8 for it, I don't really think is going to give you like a twofold advantage. And honestly, I don't even think it is one of the more unfair skins in the game, but it's obviously worth noting. I mean, over green, you're pretty hidden. And in the lesser cases where you decide to run the gray version for I have no idea why you would, there are some times where that's going to help you as well. But the green paired with a green gun camo, I mean, in bushes, you are never going to get spotted in a million years. And really, I feel like you can just kind of stand out in the open, and as long as there's no one too close to you and you're not moving, you're just not going to get seen. But honestly, at the end of the day, I would argue that there are some skins that are much more overpowered and unfair than the green army man. Or army woman, depending on your choice. Or army non-binary person.
Boom.
Now moving on to number 11, this is an interesting pick because I didn't really hear anybody talking about this when this skin came out, but this is the Prickly Patroller. The Prickly Patroller is a cactus and is also almost entirely all green. The only thing that isn't is the face. So it's like 99% green, and from the back, I feel like it provides almost the exact same advantage that the army person provides. So while the toy soldiers might be a little bit better, in my opinion, they're honestly like pretty even in terms of just giving you a crazy camouflage advantage. But a better example of a skin that really just blends in is the Elite Agent. Now there's a lot of dark skins like the Elite Agent, but there's something about her that just blends in with the nighttime. And I actually asked you guys on Twitter what skins you thought gave an unfair advantage, and as far as dark themed skins go that blend in with the night, this was the most common response, and I honestly kind of have to agree. I'm not sure if it's just simply because a lot of people tend to run this skin because it's a quite popular one, but how often do you miss that Elite Agent? Maybe not up close, but it is often the skin I find going unnoticed from like very far away. It's easy to lose, you know? It's not like you're gonna be like, oh my God, how did the skin get right up in front of me? But just having a dark skin go with a dark setting, I mean, obviously it's gonna cause a bit of an unfair advantage. And I mean, I guess you could recreate this with a lot of other skins, but again, I would really agree with you guys that the Elite Agent just seems to have some sort of mysticism and voodoo magic going on. Now, while certainly there are skins that blend in, and we'll get back to some more crazy ones, I also wanted to talk about the psychological advantage. Now, personally, I've grown kind of numb to this, but there is a skin in my mind that really stands out, and that is any soccer skin. There's something about a soccer skin that elicits a different response in your brain when you see it, and you can't even lie. For me, it used to be fear. It was like, oh, like here we go, this is gonna be a real sweat fight. But now it's a little different because that triggers and I'm like, okay, is this gonna be a fight? And that makes me behave a little bit differently. But there's also a lot of bad soccer skins now, and I consider that too. But regardless of what I think of it, it absolutely changes my behavior because I'm always on guard for that insane soccer skin. Certainly when it hadn't been in the shop for a while and only it seemed like a lot of good players had it, it was a very scary skin. But even today, it definitely just does something to my brain that changes my behavior. And whether personally, if that's for the better or good, I think to the general player, it makes people freak out. But there are skins that certainly make people freak out more. And this is just any majorly rare skin. Now, I would say there's a primary 5 group of skins, and if you have any one of these, you have a very big advantage because they just have a shock factor. But it's Ghoul Trooper, Purple Skull Trooper, Renegade Raider, Black Knight, and then the Recon Expert. I'd also throw Aerial Assault Trooper in there sometimes, but not everybody seems to know that skin. But when you see, especially I think, a Renegade Raider or a Ghoul Trooper nowadays, it's like people freeze up a little bit. And whether you want to admit that you personally do or not, in my experience with a Purple Skull Trooper, it makes people play differently. But the problem is it does one of 2 things. If they are a really good player, like much better than me, it just makes them play better because they see, okay, this guy's been playing for a while. It makes them put on their tryhard pants, and I usually get stomped on. But if it's a player that is like my skill level or worse, I feel like it genuinely gives me an advantage. Especially with bad players, they tend to freeze up, and it's because of the skin. And I don't really like to run that skin because I feel like the benefit of having like the bad players sometimes freeze up is not worth having the crazy sweats come after you. It's almost like a bounty in a weird way. People want to claim that like they killed a rare skin. So it's not always an advantage, but again, like really just any rare skin I feel like absolutely changes the player's behavior, and a lot of the times that can be to your advantage. Now maybe you're thinking, hey, I don't have any skins and I want something that's OP. I got a spot for you. The Shadow Legends pack is perfect if you too would like to blend into the night. Now these skins I would say almost rival the camouflage and the darkness of the Elite Agent. I don't see these ones a lot because this pack just came out, but I gotta say, they blend in. At least in the dark, again, it's the same thing with the Elite Agent where it's just dark on dark and it makes you a little bit harder to see, and again, is just a bit of an advantage. Then moving on to our number 6 spot, this is another type of skin that a lot of you guys pointed out, and that is like the tan themed skins. So from the Battle Pass, you have Battlehawk and Sledgehammer, but along with that also like Scorpion. And as you might guess, these skins tend to blend in just a little bit with the desert. Now certainly much less pay to win, as there's not a lot of areas where this is actually effective, and it isn't quite as effective as like green on green, but it's certainly a help. And you know, if you choose to land at Paradise Palms, it might not be bad. All right, so now we're gonna get into what I believe are some majorly seeming broken skins. The Frozen Love Ranger. Now, I don't know if any of you guys saw the video. This very well may even have been why you clicked on this video, because this is what you were thinking of. But Laserbeam. Yes, Laserbeam. He made a video where he basically used the Frozen Love Ranger and hid on top of a respawn van. And it works. Some of you guys tweeted at me saying you have done the exact same thing, and it works. Now, this is sad. I mean, it's sad that some players don't notice, but at the end of the day, it's sad. Now, he also tried to hide in the storm, which didn't really work. But the thing that I would argue that also this skin has a huge advantage of is hiding in water. Now, Loot Lake is gone, so you're not going to be able to do that. But at Lazy Lagoon, if you ever happen to be there and happen to be running the Love Ranger, you can hide in the water, and it's actually quite advantageous. I mean, if it's not an absolutely terrible player, you'll probably be noticed. But I would say, you know, you have decent odds, especially if you're far away. But what's even better, and this is way back to like Valentine's Day of 2018, is the normal Love Ranger. Back in the day, everybody was buying the Love Ranger as a way to basically pretend to hide as a statue. What people would try to do is get into like weird glitches or just like really just pose in a way that made them look like a statue and you could only see the upper part. And people that had just like maybe dropped in and they didn't even know that this can exist would just run straight by you. And then, you know, you'd obviously just get a very easy kill. And this is just truly one of those examples of a skin that really granted an advantage. And same goes with the Frozen Love Ranger. Like, if you could use a skin to hide in a very peculiar way like this, I mean, come on, like that is just so ridiculous. I mean, maybe it's not pay to win, but I don't think you can really do that with a default. Which actually, speaking of defaults, I thought I would throw in an honorable mention. I feel like people sometimes underestimate default skins, and if you do play it right, people might take you for a noob. It's not worth mentioning on this list because this is a pay-to-win list, but I did just want to include your boy Jonesy. Anyways, moving on to number 3, we have what was, in my opinion, again, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in Fortnite. So back in Season 7 during the Ice Storm LTM, the map was covered in white fog. I mean, really, I think I need not say much more. You literally just had to run any white skin at the time, and you were put at a huge advantage. God forbid you were one of the players that just didn't clue into this and decided to run anything overly bright or dark. I mean, you were just massively at a disadvantage. I mean, first of all, the skins Absolute Zero and Arctic Assassin were just perfect for this. And those are the two that mostly come to mind, but there's certainly a lot more. I mean, White Zenith, for starters. And I mean, those are just to name a few, but you certainly get the idea of what I'm going on about here. This was truly a little bit ridiculous. And while if you didn't buy any skins and all you had was the default, you weren't at a major disadvantage, except to, again, anyone that had a lighter skin than you. The default is lighter, so it's better than a lot of the skins out there, but certainly not gonna compete with an all-white skin. So anyways, that was fun and interesting times. Certainly snuck up on a few people using that strategy. Anyways, moving on to number 2, this is going to be Crackshot. Now, there are a few skins that people like to complain about that have weird hitboxes. The dude with the llama around his waist, Giddy Up, that's a good example. That's a skin that has a weird hitbox, but it's obvious where the hitbox begins and ends. Okay, you're not gonna take a snipe at the side of his llama or the head of the llama in front unless you're dumb. 'Cause you're dumb! Like, obviously that's not the hitbox. But what if the hitbox is so indistinguishable that it throws players off? And that is Crackshot. The top of his head is longly extended, and in some ways I've said, like, I feel like it's almost a disadvantage because his head looks bigger. I kind of gotta retract that. It's not a skin that I see very often, so it's not really in the front of my mind, but a lot of you guys mentioned Crackshot, and this was a great point. When you do happen to run into them, it's just kind of like that, it throws you off a little bit. And that is certainly one great example of a weird hitbox. But if there is one skin that, in my opinion, is honestly the most broken, truly having the weirdest hitbox, throwing players off, and really, in my opinion, giving them a advantage over a cosmetic item, and at our number 1 spot, this is Pili. Dude, Pili is so weird. He's got this what? Does anyone know where Pili's head ends? Like, that little top part isn't all hitbox. That's not his head. His head is like here. And if you're going, like, I don't think I've ever headshotted a Pili. Seriously, if you want to think of an advantage that probably most players can run, it's Pili. Not very high in the Season 8 Battle Pass, and he just has a whack hitbox. His whole body is bigger than the hitbox, and again, like, doing headshots on this guy is just, in my opinion, luck, and like, other players, even Ninja, has said the same thing. So, if you want to pay to win skin and you don't have the other 11 on this list, but you happen to get the Battle Pass, Pili, man, just run Pili and trust me, you just won't take headshot damage. It's magic. Just shoot him in his stupid mouth. That'll do it. But in all seriousness, that is going to wrap up our list for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think the most pay-to-win skin is. I could see people saying Army Man, very possible, but I wanted to get that in at the very start of the video. Anyways, if you are new to the channel and you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe. If you're already subscribed, leave a like. Go follow me on Twitter if you want to get in on these conversations, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.